Today, we're going to put a tire on a wheel using tape. So what I have here is Scotch 8896. This is supposed to be 33 millimeters wide. And I have a 33 millimeter rim. We'll see how this works. The theory is the tape keeps the air from escaping. Okay, so you want to start out by cleaning the wheel with like rubbing alcohol. You want all the dust and grease and everything off the wheel. It's got to be pretty clean for this stuff to work. And I like, since this tape is kind of mangled here, I like to start out with a fresh, unmangled section of tape. I also like to start opposite of the valve stem. Now, the easiest way I found is to just put your thumb and forefinger here, stand directly above the rim, and just stick the center down in the middle. Don't worry about making the edges stick just yet. Then go all the way around the rim, just making the middle, the deep part of the valley, the drop center. Make that stick. Alright, once you get around and you tape the whole thing up, overlap it by a couple of inches, and snip off the tape. Alright, then you want to go back through and make sure get as many air bubbles out as you can. Try to get the tape down in the center first. Some people say to mount a tube on a tire, pump it up, and let the tube smash the tape down in. That would probably work. I don't usually do that. See the spoke holes there? You can see I have a few little air bubbles. Wouldn't sweat those too much. The important thing is you want your bead tape almost up to the edge of the rim. It doesn't have to be up to the edge, as long as it covers this little lip here where the bead goes into, where your tire bead goes into. As long as this tape comes up and covers this little section where the tire bead hits. The sealing edge right here, there's a little ridge. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that on video. You don't necessarily need the tape sticking out over the edge. You can do that and then cut it off if you want. I got lucky and found some tape that was the exact width for this rim. Alright, so that's it. Next. Alright, next we need to poke a hole for the valve stem, which is right here. This is the valve stem that's going to be installed. There's a little nut that goes on the top to hold it in. So you just get a nail and very carefully make sure you're on the stem hole. Poke a little hole like so. Then just poke the valve stem through that hole like so. Push down on the valve stem. and secure the nut. Doesn't have to be very tight. Finger tight's good. Pushing on the back of the stem while you secure the nut will make sure that you get a good seal. Alright. And there we go. Valve stem. Alright, next we mount the tire. This one's directional, so look for the arrow on the tire. Somewhere there's an arrow. Come to me, arrow, rotation. So it says it's going that way. Your sprockets on the right side of the bike. So put the sprocket on the right side and make the wheel roll forward. So this is the way the tire goes along. Bead of the tire and drop center of the rim, and just start peeling the bead onto the tire. If it gets hard to pry up on the tire, you got to make sure that your bead is in the center of the rim all the way around. That makes it much easier to pull the tire up onto the wheel. If things are really tight, you can throw a little lube in the mix, but as soon as you put lube on it, hands are going to get slick. Alright, so I've got one bead on, put the bead on outside of the stem, and then work the other side on. I usually start just to one side of the stem, work your way around. Like so. Alright, now we gotta put some slime in the tire. So I'm gonna undo a little bit of what I did. Maybe. There we go. Alright, got a little cup to put some sealant in. Throw some sealant in, and I'm going to be using Quad Boss tire sealant, simply because I have a 5-gallon jug of it here for the dirt bike. And I want 5 ounces, so this has a little gradient thing here. Shows you how much to use. So I need to use about down to that line. Alright, then we go back in and redo the bead. Alright, now the easiest way to put air in this is with an air compressor. The trick is you have to get air in fast enough to seal up around the edge of the bead. and that pushes the bead out to where it needs to be to seal. If you can't get the air in there fast enough, what you'll have to do is get a tire tool and pre-bead the tire. The air compressor is easy. That's how I'm probably going to do it, but I'll show you how to do the bead trick. What you need to do is get a plastic tire tool. You don't want to be tearing things up. And you want to peel the bead around. Get part of the bead up in the edge here, in the bead trough, with your hands as best as you can. You can see it's up in the trough there. And a lot of times just doing this and getting part of the bead in the trough is enough. It'll make it tight enough that it'll seal and catch. So we'll try that first. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the bead out towards the edge of the tire so that it gets stuck on one side of the trough there, on the outside edge of that trough. Alright, for grins, let's just see how that works with a hand pump. Alright, it feels like it caught. Now it'll pop and make some scary sounds. That's the bead seating. And you can kind of see when it's seated, you'll have a little rubber strip, a little rubber bump. It sticks out just a millimeter or two above the rim. So here it's not finished seating on this side. So we'll keep going. And you probably don't want to go much above 40 psi to get things to seat. If they don't seat at 40 psi, then you got something wrong. You got to take it apart and figure out what's going on. Alright, so that's all seated. So I'm going to go ahead and put 30 psi in this tire. Alright, once you've got air in the tire, and it feels firm, it's like it's holding air, I like to pick the tire up, shake the slime around, make sure it's getting on the bead, flip it over, shake the slime back and forth on the other sides. Alright, now you can either let it sit, you can throw it on and ride it. I like to let it sit. I like to spray a little soap and water on it before I ride it. Make sure that it's really sealed up. All right, so I like to spray a little soap and water on it, just as laundry detergent and a little water. Just a little, make sure your bead's sealed. And you watch it for foaming action. You may see a couple little bubbles. It's not too little bubbles. Don't worry about. It's just the bubbles keep coming out from someplace. Alright, that looks good. So I'm going to let this sit. It's raining out today. I'm not going to be riding today. So I'll just let it sit and I'll check it tomorrow. And that's it.